Hello and welcome to the Eugene Torto YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody who's subscribed so far and everyone who's watching, and anyone who's left comments in any of my videos in the comment section. I want to thank them too, and anyone who's shared. But if you're not subscribed, go down there and subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit like, hit thumbs up, thumbs down, leave comments. I'm trying to grow the channel so I can become monetized and hopefully pay for all this stuff. Anyway, today's video is about the composite leaf springs on a C4 Corvette and how to install the rear one, remove and install the rear one. I will be going out in the garage later and try and cover it and how this spring works on the rear of a C4 Corvette. And before I do that, this is a $75 leaf spring, okay? Why is it $75? Some guy sold it to me on eBay for $75. I just got really lucky. If you go buy one of these springs, plan on paying between $400 and $500. That's what, when I priced them, that's what I was seeing. So make sure you shop around. This is a Hyperco spring. This is a what they call a soft ride, or the base model. See if I can get in on there closer. All right. Get in there closer. I'm using my gimbal. I hope you guys can see that, because this camera doesn't really focus good at close range. But it's a Hyperco composite spring, part number 12411 HPS. 200-pound spring rate. C4 FE1 Corvette rear. And when I see these advertised online, they're advertised as 228. So I don't know if this is an older one. But as you can see, it's just like brand new. The guy only put 200 miles on and decided he didn't like it. So I will be installing this, and I'll give you my review. I'll also go over other suspension bits on my Corvette, like the Ride Tech adjustable shocks, and I'll go over things like my front spring, which is a soft ride that I got from Vette Brake Products, which is no longer in business. No one is making the front composite springs for these anymore. So if your spring goes, you got to source out a good used one or convert the coilovers. I prefer to stay with these. I'm not saying that they're better than the coilovers. The coilovers are probably better, but I don't know. I always thought these were unique to the Corvette, the C4 Corvette, and they're really light. That's one thing. I think this thing maybe weighs 8, or it might weigh 10 pounds, but I doubt it. And they're made of composite fiberglass, as far as I know, and that rear one's not too bad to change. Over here, though, I have my front spring, and this is the original front spring. I think it had around 170-some thousand miles on it when I took it off. If anyone's not familiar with my Vette, I'm up over 225,000 miles. I'll leave a link up there to it. And the reason I changed this out, this started to sag. So, and the reason it started to sag, you know, an engine with that many miles, leaking oil and the heat and stuff. And you can see on this side, I hope you guys can see that, is this is loose fiberglass. I hope you can see that. And I guess it started to break down. You can see where the fiberglass is actually starting to come out of it. And I guess that's from the heat and the oil. That's the only thing, or age. But one other thing about the front leaf spring, it's a lot more difficult to change. And one thing I don't think people realize about the front, these pads here, these do need to be lubricated. You need to like put the car up in the air and then just jack the spring up so you get some space under here, and then put some lubricant. And that actually does make the car ride a lot better when you do that. You can see here where this one actually had corrosion. And anyway, I was lucky to get one of the probably one of the last front springs that Vette Brake Products made. Hopefully Van Steel will be making them in the future. I saw something on the forum about that. I don't know if it's true or not. Hopefully they will. And so before I go out in the garage, this is the carpet left over that I still have to do for my carpet project. I'll leave a video up there if you haven't seen it. These are just for the door panels, and I need to do the speaker panels. I'm waiting on material for the speakers, so I'll do these at a later date. And I'm going to be doing a review of that head unit I installed. Kenwood head unit with the backup camera, and you definitely want to watch that if you're going to be upgrading your head unit on your on any vehicle, really. And I have to say I like it, and there's a couple of two things you definitely want to learn about before you buy a head unit. So I got some things to do, then I'll head out in the garage and I'll pick up from there. So just keep watching, and I'll get the car up in the air and under jack stands and the wheels off, and then I'll start from there how to remove this rear spring, which they're actually not that difficult. I'll go over the finer points with you when I get out there. But there we go out there. If you do decide not to watch the video, I hope you'll have a good day, but continue on and watch, and I'll try and make it as short, as simple, and to the point as possible. So out to the garage. Okay, here we are out in the garage. The car is jacked up, and the wheels are off. I'm going to just go a quick overview of what I have on my suspension right now. Let me grab my other light here so I can put some light on the subject. And one of the first things I did to the suspension when I got this car is change everything to polyurethane. The old bushings were rock hard and dry rotted after 30 years of abuse here in the Northeast. That helps significantly. Next thing I did after that was the front spring. I went to a soft ride spring that I got from Vet Brake Products. Like I said, they are not in business anymore, and no one that I know of is making front springs at this time. Next biggest upgrade I made, and was a great upgrade, was these sway bars, front and rear. I went from a 28 millimeter, I believe it was, hollow sway bar. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. And I went to a 32 millimeter solid front sway bar, and I went to a solid 26 millimeter sway bar in the rear. I can't remember the size of the stock one. I think it was 24 solid, but that's what I did on the rear. And the next really big improvement upgrade, and this is where I got lucky on eBay again, a brand new set of Ride-Tech shocks. You can see they're not brand new anymore, and the rear ones are inverted. They are adjustable for rebound only. I don't know if you can see all that there, but those made a dramatic improvement in the ride and handling, and the fact that you can adjust them makes a big improvement in the suspension. Now this suspension improvement I've made is, let me see if I can get this here. Alrighty. Is let's see, the Smart Strut. I went with a Smart Strut, and when I went with the Smart Struts, I also went with a different camber bracket. The stock camber bracket, you adjust it, and it adjusts your camber in or out. With the Smart Strut, you adjust it just like you would a tie rod, and but the camber bracket, instead of going in and out, it actually lowers and raises it and changes the angle difference between here and here. And that affects your handling. Now, when this, with the stock on a 90, it's changed over the years. GM changed them over the years, how much it changes. But it's like a 2.5 degree camber change going through the full wheel travel. And with the camber bracket set as at the lowest setting, where this is lowest on the where it attaches to the differential. Now the camber setting stays at 0 throughout the whole range, and you can adjust that for different handling reasons. I'm not going to go into that because I'm no suspension setup expert. Of course, there's all poly bushings back here, and I also have the adjustable leaf spring bolts. Now, when removing this, I can't remember with the stock exhaust if I had to drop the exhaust or not, but with this exhaust I shouldn't have to drop it. I might have to just unattach the mufflers and lower the exhaust a little bit to clear the one bolt. I'll show you that here in a minute. But before I do that, I'll go over how the suspension works. Now, A leaf spring is basically a piece of material that's designed to hold a certain shape, and when compressed, it'll return back to its original shape, whether it be out of metal or composite fiberglass like these are. And I'm going to try and explain it best I can, but basically, on a normal leaf spring, it's so simple, I just can't explain it any easier. That's it. Let me go underneath, and I'll show you a little detail of what has to be done and what you have to expect. Now, if it makes it easier, you can always drop your tire carrier, but you really don't need to. Let me see if I can get a better shot here. Okay. Once you release the tension, once you remove these bolts on the springs, and you got to relieve the tension. I'll show you that real quick. And then after you do that, basically you need to remove these 4 bolts right here. See if I can get a better light on it. I actually can't see in the viewfinder if I'm showing you correctly or not, but there it is. There's 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, and 1 bolt there, and 1 bolt there. One thing you have to be, if you've never had these bolts off before, it's quite possible these are seized on. So when taking them off, be careful. Make sure you use lots of penetrating oil and go back and forth with them until they loosen up. In my case, I've had this off before, and I have put plenty of anti-seize on the threads, so they're going to come right off. But before I do that, I'll get the jack, relieve the tension. They actually make a special GM tool for doing this. I don't know anyone that uses it. Probably might be professional Corvette shops that do, but I've never seen one used. So hold tight, and I'll get to removing the leaf spring here. Okay, I got the other side off. I'm on this side. Normally I use a regular floor jack, and this time I figured I'd try the bottle jack. I have this combination jack stand bottle jack, and I believe I got it at Tractor Supply. And I got it jacked up, relieving tension on the bolt. And one thing when using a bottle jack like that, when it's in its lowest position, you have to make sure it goes low enough to relieve the to get out from underneath the spring. I barely was able to get it off on the other side, and because once it's all the way down, it's just barely enough clearance. But the important thing is most of the tension was off, and it was done safely, and nothing. I didn't blow out a piece of wood into my face or anything like that. So the way I've been removing these is I use a impact and a 22mm socket and a 21mm wrench on top. That's I can't remember if the stock ones are that size or not, but these are the aftermarket adjustable ones. So make sure you have the right tools when you do this job. And let's see if I can get this in a good position where everybody can see everything. And then I'll get to taking that sucker off. Woo, get up there, you. There we go. Alrighty. Hope everybody saw that. And now to lower the spring. And one thing, when you jack that spring up, you want to make sure you don't jack it up too high where you take the load off the jack stand. So be careful with that. And be careful lowering it. On the end are off. Now onto the center bolts. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove these bolts. Hopefully I'll be able to get them out with these back ones out without lowering the exhaust. Remember, the back ones are short ones. These here are long ones. And there are shims, so keep note of your shims when you take this off. And if you're not comfortable using power tools, don't use them. And if you never had these off before, you definitely don't want to use power tools. You want to just work them off and do it that way. Like these, I already know are lubed up with anti-seize, and they're going to come right off. Dink, and onto that one. And I'll try and show you here shortly what I mean. Okay, here's the shims on this side, and here's the shims on this side. Over here somewhere, there it is. It's that side. Make sure you keep them on the side, but these are the shims, and they basically fill in the space, so when you tighten this bracket, you're not twisting it, and then you'll end up well, actually this can't twist. This actually hits against the mount there and bottoms out, and if you don't fill in this space with the shims, the spring's going to sit in there loose. And I guess it does affect the height, but I don't know. But yeah, I guess it does, just seeing the way it is. But there it is. The spring is now going to come out, I hope. There it goes. No problem. Out with the old and with the new. And see if we can compare the two. There's virtually no difference other than the color, and the that one should be softer riding. Not sure what the foot-pounds on this spring are. Okay, here we are. The spring is out. That's the old one. That's the new one. If you look at them, they're virtually identical. They even have, I don't know if you can see it here, a little yellow mark on the old one, and there's a yellow mark on the new one. I'm almost certain that Hyperco was probably the vendor that produced the springs for GM, and because they sure as hell looks like it. I mean, they are identical. And like I said, I don't know what the tension difference is between the old and the new. I do know this is 30 years old, and even though it looks like it's in good shape, 30-year-old spring and over 225,000 miles on it. It's got to have some type of wear in it. I mean, the bushings are rock hard, that's for sure. They're not too bad. They're not as soft and pliable as these. I guess I'll get the new one in, and I'll get the wheels on and get it on the ground, and I'll get a test ride. But going in is pretty much the exact same as the the exact same at reverse of what I did taking it off. And one thing, if you have those adjustable bolts, you want to take a measurement from the bottom to the top of the nut, or to the bottom of the nut to the end of the bolt. So, or some type of measurement where it'll go back in exactly the same where you had it, unless you plan on changing your ride height. They are adjustable. You can adjust them. One thing mistake people make, they always like change out their spring, or they do something on the rear where they have the rear of the car jacked up. They lower it on the ground and they're like, oh my God, look how high the car's sitting. That's because it's an independent suspension, so you have to roll it like back and forth about 20 feet in order for the tires to slide out. This tire, like if it's on the ground with the suspension down, it's going to be in, and it's going to hold that position unless it's on like gravel or something where it can slide. It actually needs to go sideways, and it's only going to do that when it's rolling or on loose gravel or something that'll slide. Once that happens, it'll settle, and this is a new spring, so it'll probably have to settle anyway. But anyway, I'll get back to putting this installing this. Like I said, it's the reverse. Make sure you put the shims back in the same place. Now that I'm looking at it, those shims do affect the ride height. They go right on top of here. They actually have little notches in them that line up with these. Maybe I'll put a little grease in there to hold them in place while I'm doing it. And like I said, make sure you use anti-seize on your bolts, and be careful removing them if they've never been removed before. So let me get on with this, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, the 4 center bolts are in. I have the spring bolt on the other side, and I forgot to take the measurement from the end of the nut to the bolt. But I estimated it, and I measured that side, and used something like this, a tape measure, whatever you have, and I'm going to run this down to the same thing. Now I jack this up just enough to get where I can get this on there good. Get it threaded on, at least 6 threads at minimum, and then I'll just run it up with the impact. If you don't have to use power tools, I have them, so I use them. Yep, a little more. Definitely a little more. Down just a little bit. Okay, there we go. I might actually compare these to the stock ones. I do have the stock ones just to make sure I didn't go too high. But that does seem higher than before. So I might come down a little bit and then make the same one on the other side. I can always adjust them. And tension is now off this spring, so I should lower this. No problem. There we go. Get the thing out of there. And pretty much all I have to do is check my adjustment. I should stick a torque wrench on those 4 center bolts, make sure they're correct. I have to look up the torque specs on that. And put the wheels on, and when I put the wheels on, I definitely torque them to 100 foot-pounds. But I'll button it up, and in the future I'll do a driving review of it. I do plan on taking it out today, so maybe I'll include it in this video. I'll try. And I just want to thank everyone for watching. And I hope you learned something. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. It's been a while since I did one of these springs. And face it, I'm getting old and confusing. So, Anyway, I hope it was helpful. Have any questions, leave it down in the comment section. If I do, I'll do a separate driving review of it. I'll just make another 5-minute film or something on that. But like I said, go down there, subscribe if you haven't. Leave comments how you would think I can improve these videos. I'll try and do it. I always try and improve it. If you leave comments, I'll try and do it. That's all I can do. I can try. So, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.